911.
And it was a reporter.
And she's telling, it was somebody, that
Yeah.
wanted, I don't think it was anybody dangerous per se.
Okay.
But, she called 911, right?
Mhm.
And asked for diplomatic security and
Mhm.
because she's inviolable, right? and
the 911 operator's going, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think I played it, but he just said, I'll let the officer know.
Yeah, I'll let the officer know.
How many people call 911 and ask for diplomatic?
I don't think many. Many.
She's a nutcase. I mean, it's
probably more so in Washington, D.C. They probably get a few calls like that.
Way.
But yeah,
it's pretty ridiculous. But I don't know whatever came of that. I mean, she's still safe, and she's got her PR people out there working with her and whatnot. So
well, on November 13th, she had her Defense Department special access revoked.
Yes,
and so that's that. On the 14th, the White House news conference, President Obama says he is unaware of any disclosure of classified information that could damage national security as a result of the Patraeus resignation and affair. And so on and on we go. Now, I guess why we're doing all this is because the question was, and some people were saying that the reason he resigned was so that he wouldn't have to testify about Benghazi, that he knew that it was a terrorist attack and not a protest against a video made by some anti-Muslim filmmaker.
Right.
But, not so, because on November 15th, arrangements were made for Patraeus to testify on the attack before the House and Senate committee. And that was a week ago Friday, I think.
Yeah. Or 2 now, maybe, but yeah.
No, I think it
was it last Friday? Okay.
I think, because November 15th was Thursday for opening day of deer season, because I know that. So I think it was last Friday.
Okay.
Not yesterday, as this is Saturday, today.
Today
is Saturday, yeah.
Thanksgiving was on a Thursday.
Yep. Was it this year?
It was.
Okay. Anyways, it says he did testify out of sight, behind closed doors. Nobody knows what happened except that some people apparently leaked it out there.
Yep.
And Patraeus told Congress that classified intelligence showed the deadly raid on the U.S. consulate in Libya was a terrorist attack, but that the administration withheld the suspected role of al-Qaeda affiliates to avoid tipping them off. So the excuse was, we didn't want to let al-Qaeda know that we knew it was al-Qaeda, so we could investigate al-Qaeda.
Right. That's absurd.
How convenient.
Yeah, that's completely absurd. And with that same argument, how does supposedly getting them upset over a video help? I mean, it just doesn't.
No, it does, because
it just doesn't line up.
It's not an organized Al-Qaeda attack, then it's just a spontaneous riot.
Right.
But I think the information that's coming out is that a lot of U.S. intelligent people knew it was Al-Qaeda, and after listening to Patraeus say that it was Al-Qaeda based on his intelligence as CIA director, that they changed it and modified what they wanted to say for whatever reason we're not sure on.
Yep.
One of the things they're saying is we didn't want to tip them off.
Yeah.
And Patraeus is saying, listen, I gave them the briefing. The White House and their people have to decide what they want to say.
Right.
I really don't have any power over that. All I'm here to do is to advise. And then Rice came out and said, it was this...
Susan Rice,
I'm sorry.
UN.
Yeah.
Yep.
She came out and said, that it's a protest, nothing to do, nothing organized, nothing to see here. And let's see, I think I have, as of just 2 days ago, she's still defending what she.
Well, what happened is,
when discussing the attacks against our facilities in Benghazi, I relied solely and squarely on the information provided to me by the intelligence community. I made clear that the information was preliminary, and that our investigations would give us the definitive answers. Everyone, particularly the intelligence community, has worked in good faith to provide the best assessment based on the information available. And
it was preliminary information, is what she's saying.
Yeah, well, and I think...
And that she didn't know.
I think the reason she was making this statement is John McCain and somebody else
attacked
came
her.
out and basically said, you know, she knew. Why did she come out and lie? You know, this is ridiculous. We need to know the truth. Why did she lie? And then in one of the very, very, very few press briefings that Barack Obama's had recently, the first since the election, he was asked about it, specifically about John McCain's comments. And he got all up in arms, you know, complaining, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't attack Susan Rice. You know, you need."
It's not her fault.
No, it's not her fault. She did exactly what she was told.
And that may be true.
If they have a problem, then they need to come to me. You know, it's this whole like schoolyard. Oh, you got a problem with her, you got a problem with me thing.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because of the talks of her being nominated to be Secretary of State.
Right.
So he's really trying to get her back here.
So there's some
protect
politics
her and,
involved, yeah.
yeah.
Wall Street Journal is still reporting the same thing, that Patraeus knew about, you know, the attacks from the get-go, and that there was contradicting information put out by, you know, two prominent Obama appointees. True enough. That Patraeus' information was edited out of the press release. And we don't know why that is.
Right.
Now they're saying it's because we didn't want the Al-Qaeda to know that we were on to them. I don't know if that's true. So something's got to come of this. And
Well, I still don't.
discuss,
Whether that's, I don't understand why you come out and lie to the American people if you're trying to throw off Al-Qaeda. I mean, worst case, come out and say we're still doing an investigation. I mean, do they think that Al-Qaeda thinks we're stupid enough to just blame it on a video and just assume that it was the video, and just, you know, take Obama's word for it and call it good? I don't think they're that stupid. I don't think they think we are that stupid.
I think they do.
I really don't. I think you need to take a step back. This whole investigation has been going on since, what, July or something like that?
What investigation?
Into the Patraeus affair.
Oh, yeah, before that, yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I find it very, very odd that the president wasn't informed about this.
Yeah.
That he's had how many meetings with people doing this investigation? You know, the Justice Department and
Eric
whoever
Holder
else.
is in his pocket.
And they didn't mention it. Oh, by the way, your top CIA official is being investigated because he's having an affair that could potentially damage national security.
Right.
He wasn't told about that. He was informed 2 days after Election Day.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
And just magically, the dates lined up that they asked Patraeus to resign.
No.
At night on Election Day.
Who asked him? It was...
That's when he was asked to resign, was on Election night.
Or
That's
the day
when he-
before or
that's when he
something like that.
resigned.
Yeah.
And after everybody's voted, so this isn't an
Sure, it's
embarrassment
not...
for the administration. I think it's completely crazy. And you have, is it General John Allen, who got mixed up in this, and we've had a couple other, I think another 4-star general and a couple other military officials that recently, not in this scandal, but have recently taken falls, you know, and been docked stars or whatever. I think there's kind of a bigger picture thing going on here, with a sort of takeover, you know, of the way this country has run for years and our freedom and things like that. I mean, they have the press, you know, they have the White House. Really the only thing standing in the way is military. And I think they're kind of starting to try to get in to discredit the military even. And I think we need to be careful with that because, you know, what Patraeus has done and what General Allen has done, that doesn't reflect on the military. It reflects on them personally. Now, how those situations were handled definitely reflect on the federal government. And I just find it a bit too fishy that all of this came to a head right around the election time, and actually after election time is when all of this was brought out, and the president found out 2 days after the election, and it was a big shock to him. We've heard from aides and things like that if this type of investigation was going on, the president would be one of the first to know, because that's his guy at the CIA. Yeah, the president would know that the investigation was going on. It would come up, at least in passing, when they're having these security briefings and things.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
well,
I don't know.
Representative Peter King, out of New York, said that Patraeus had left a clear impression that the overwhelming amount of evidence was that the atrocity rose out of a spontaneous demonstration, and it wasn't a terrorist attack. Now, who's what's the truth here?
Well, what was really interesting is all of the reports that we got through the media at first was
Right.
that Patraeus came out, and he also was one of the people on the bandwagon calling this.
Yeah.
Calling this.
And he's saying that's not the case.
Calling this a protest from the video.
Yeah.
And he's saying that isn't the case. Now, my question is, knowing that this is such a big deal, probably knowing you're under investigation for this affair, why wouldn't you step up and say, no, that's not what I said. That's not the truth.
You're scared.
And let of losing his job. I mean,
losing a job, reputation, everything else. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is they kind of lined this thing up at Princeton for him to go.
Oh, he'll land on his feet.
To go. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's.
But he won't be.
A presidency or what, but he's basically, from what I heard, at least a month or so ago, had a job, or not a month, couple weeks, had a job lined up at Princeton. So he'll be fine. I mean, his family is probably going to suffer for this, and I don't know what the status is with his wife, and I think he had a couple kids.
Yeah, I'm sure he
and
did.
Paula Broadwell, I'm not sure what kind of family she had.
Well, yeah.
But when this kind of stuff comes out, it's
devastating.
Rough on that.
Yeah.
On families.
But you survive.
Yeah, you will. You will survive. But
well, the Wall Street Journal was saying, what do these discrepancies mean? They explained why General Petraeus was so compromised. Even if his initial testimony supporting the Obama administration's version of events wasn't affected by the FBI investigation into his extramarital affair, reasonable people might conclude otherwise. He was leaving King and Feinstein with the impression Benghazi had been a spontaneous event. Others, including the CIA station chief in Libya, were saying otherwise. So that's the question we've talked about. Who knew what and when? The thing is, it reflects poorly on the White House and how they handle security issues.
I was surprised that Patraeus, when he finally did testify, albeit closed door, I was surprised that he did change the story. I figured he was going to stick to the talking points and say, well, that was the intelligence we had, was that it was caused by this video, and he didn't. He claims he didn't actually change his story, but the story changed. The story we were told about what he said actually did change, and that surprised me a bit. I was happy about it because I expected him to,
Well, the other question, too, is did Eric Holder, did he order FBI Director Mueller not to tell the president about the Petraeus investigation, at least until after the election? Another question is how justice officials could conclude so quickly that there was no criminal violations, especially, they looked at for stuff, especially since the prosecutors didn't see documents from Broadwell's home until the FBI had searched it, which were days after the affair became public. So what's going on here? Who knew what and why?
I think the administration knew most of this well before it was made public. I don't buy that the president didn't know about it. And if the president wasn't told about it, then he needs to start firing people.
Right.
because whether
or having
not,
them resign.
whether or not it would, nobody gets fired. Whether or not it would be